أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers in Islam. I received a very interesting and awakening article from Islamic 21C. The caption is How to Unify a Fractured Nation. Definitely he is referring to the Muslim Umma. It's a very important and significant article. I had my comment in Facebook, but I decided to make a video so that those who are not under the subscription of Islamic 21C will understand it. I will give the site in the video, inshallah. Well, he began by saying, some questions without any doubt have obvious answers and they seem futile to pose. What if the ruling of actively working towards a united Muslim nation is perhaps one such example? Is this even a question which needs an answer? Some will fire back, adding, is the answer in need of any type of evidence? And are those proofs even in need of discussion? Yes, on paper, answering such questions would appear to be a time-wasting endeavor, since one is simply stating the obvious. Such questions would appear to be a time-wasting endeavor. However, a cursory glance into the mirror reflection of Muslim affairs, from the global ones down to the household ones, will reveal something else, a reflection that says, please remind me. Now, I don't know, as I said, sometimes Muslims are extremely funny. I don't know, by the time we stand for the judgment, what all will say about us, how they will look at us and keep on laughing at us. You see, we have been trying to emphasize to the Muslim Ummah the importance of understanding Islam and following the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not wasting our time on rhetorics and tafsir of the Holy Quran, which we don't even understand. Allah is the teacher who taught us what unity is about. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was just a demonstrator. So why are we, or we have failed to understand the teaching of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the demonstration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Now let us listen to this.
شهيدا ثم لا يؤذن للذين كفروا ولا هم يستعتبون
Now, anybody who reads this article, how does this particular verse applies to him? يعرفون نعمة الله. He understood, he recognizes one of the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, choosing us to be his representatives here, because it is not, the earth is not his dwelling place, although he is there. But we disliked it, we refused it, we changed it. Then what is our position? MUFSIQUUN. It's just like us and Iblis. The fasik relating to Iblis is after the cognition, after getting the evidence, the knowledge, everything. For him to accept it, he refused. He changed. Who is Adam? Look at how knowledge was first misused, and look at how we are misusing it today. You Westerners and in overseas, you are not involved in establishing the caliphate, because you will never establish it in London or any other place. I wrote a book because I think 2015 or 2016 I was in London when there was the election of the mayor. I wrote a book, KAP, Knowledge, Attitude and the Practice of the Muslim Umma and the Prison of the 2016 mayoral election in London. They refused to sell it in Central Mosque. I offered to send copies. Even we agreed at the profit margin, but simply because I told the truth. You see, this is our problem. You see, we are so arrogant, self-conceited, as if we are not going to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask you, why have you concealed what you know? So his articles was very important, very beautifully written, and the headings are obvious. So if we could read it, definitely, as I said, you are not involved. It is us, where 99% are Muslims. Definitely, we have no excuse. Wallahu yusta'tabun. So what remains? Whatever he wrote, the usual quoting ayahs, surah, verses of the Holy Quran, he said at times, Revelation tells us that division is a form of punishment that Allah afflicts upon his servants. It's true. Let us go back to what Jesus, the son of Maryam, said in the New Testament. The people who are disunited will never prosper. And this also the Holy Quran. Well, toward the events of yesterday is very, very important. That is all the Holy Quran is. I don't know why we don't face the reality. The Holy Quran is just a reminder. Mistakes must be corrected. But mistakes in the Ummah are never to be corrected. And it is a punishment, it is a sin to tell the Muslim Ummah they are wrong. You Westerners, Europe, you know me very well. You haven't, I articulate with you. You refuse still make Ummah short. While the Imams in Mecca and the Medina have now changed their khutbah from 45 minutes to at least 15 to 20 minutes, but still making it not according to the Sunnah. Why are we so arrogant? What is What is the most blissful thing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us? يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور. Bringing them out of darkness into light. But you don't like you Muslims. What are the events of yesterday? Start from the Torah. Let us please go back and read the Torah in the first instance. It's much easier to understand Tawheed and what is unity is. What is obedience and disobedience. It's much, much easier from the Torah. The book of Genesis, Exodus. Here I just want to remind you of a brief of what is it Mahmoud, or let me see who was the writer. Mahmoud, I think Mahmoud wrote. So briefly, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us that our life after him will be revolving around 3 axes. The first axis is the first 34 years after the Hijrah. Or we may say the 35th year after the Hijrah. Then the second axis, the 36th year after the Hijrah. And then the 37th year after the Hijrah. Now, whichever one we take, that will be our practical and evidential way of life. Either we live according to the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Sahabas, or we live in the time of arrogance and ignorance, murdering our true representatives, moral responsibility and the trust, the caliphate. Although they are not killed, but they kill. But the killing is equivalent to denial today. So that is what is toward the events of yesterday. He began by telling the Abbasid dynasty, without telling us the Umayyads, that there were only 12, I think in a period of 99 years. Only 12, or let us put it, only 8 Muslim era that governed according to the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Get it, it is in Sahih Muslim. Continue with your own arguments, I'm not interested. But if we go back to the very important Torah and the events of yesterday, the insistence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Abu Bakr Siddiq must lead the prayer. And it was done by Umar ibn Khattab. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam rejected it. That this prayer is not valid, it's not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It must be Abu Bakr Siddiq. They went out and patched Abu Bakr Siddiq. When Umar ibn Khattab was told that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave that specific instruction, he started quivering, crying, confused. Look at this discipline which we don't like. We say we don't know. If you don't know, you hear, you will not understand. What is wrong with us? We are not living. We are dead. So Abu Bakr Siddiq led the prayer. The Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, now the prayer is valid, is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam left the world, there was the question of who is going to lead the Muslim, who is going to lead to unify, to unite the Muslim Umma. Whatever is said, in the long run, they said, he chose him as our Imam to lead us in his absence on the most important pillar of Islam, the obligatory prayer. We must choose him to be our leader. Look at this. Look at the Imams all over the world. And you supporters, arrogant. Look, in Nigeria, I came out to lead, but nobody supported me. Let me tell you, Europe and the West. And I sent you letters to buy my books. You refused to cooperate. So what is this? We just recognize the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we reject it. So, you see, as I said, is we are just jokers. Our role in fostering a culture of unity, it starts at home, definitely, but who receives training at home? Not in this period. Now, the most important conclusion is no room for false dilemmas. Beware of the perfectionist's fallacy. That is Europe. And the Muslim Umma was Western education. It's a disgrace. We cannot unite. Everybody feels he is on his own. There is Western education above Islamic education. Yes, it's true, it's correct. Because I was just discussing today with my classmate that in 1960s to 1964 or 63, we have only 3 hours of Arabic language and Islamic studies in secondary schools. 3 hours only in a week or in 5 days, 3 hours. What of English language? What of mathematics? What of English literature? How many hours? It is about 3 hours every day. But in Arabic and Islamic studies, only 3 hours in a week. Look at how backwards we were in Nigeria. In the north, 60 years, even this time is worse. You hardly find any student being taught Arabic and Islamic studies. Never in government institutions. This is Nigeria, where there's Boko Haram. Corruption, maladministration, because who knows Islamic knowledge? Nobody knows. This fallacy of those who portray themselves as PhD holders and Islamic malams, sheikhs, it's a fallacy. Whilst it is true that most of us cannot change matters in a top-down way, because we can't, is that working? Why? Why this critical analysis, discrimination, failure? Why? In Europe they cannot. What of in other Islamic countries? 99.9% Muslims. They can't change. They can't choose a Khalifa based on the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let us forget what happened before. What of him? Why did he choose Khalid ibn Walid? Why did he choose Umar ibn Khattab? Let us recall during the Hudaybiyah Treaty. They wanted to go perform Umrah. They were prevented from going. What happened? He wanted to send somebody, as Sahaba, to Mecca. He chose Umar ibn Khattab. Umar ibn Khattab said, no, Ya Rasulullah, I am from a minority. My clan are minority. They will finish me. Look at Umar ibn Khattab. Tell us the truth. Assess yourself. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. What did he say? Send Usman ibn Khattab. Their clans are the majority, the most influential and the richest. They won't do anything to him. Look at this, the truth. Usman was sent. Why not Abu Bakr, a minority? Why not Khalid? But that was not a Muslim. So in those circles of Muslims, who were the most appropriate to be sent? Umar was diplomacy. They are the diplomats, the ambassadors of the Quraysh. Look at this knowledge. And they're giving everybody his own right. You Muslims, you can't do it. It's a disgrace. You don't understand anything. Only seeing a skeleton. Not knowing nerve muscle attachments, what nerve passes through, what artery passes through, what vein passes through. Nothing. So this is a disgrace. Every one of us has a role to play from the bottom up. But in Islam, it is, the rules are there. Even if you are qualified on the Sunnah, how old are you? Age is very, very important. But everybody must contribute. And this question of open democracy during selection is not allowed in Islam. It's clearly stated there are three, as done by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by Abu Bakr, and by Umar ibn Khattab. Not everybody is to be involved. But here you are involving illiterates, following democracy of USA in the Europe, who are not accountable in the hereafter. But you are accountable in the hereafter. You prefer to follow them and enter hellfire with them. In fact, as alluded above, the bottom of the pyramid is where genuine grassroots work begins. That is contrary in Islam. We teach them, we discipline them, we train them. Islam begins from 50 years of age, responsibility. I think Al-Ghazali refused to take the chair or professorship until he is older than 50. Abdul Qadir Zailani took it at the age of 55. We don't know what happened before. But you see, in the early period, everybody is an expert on the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have written so many books on that, that at the beginning, people are interested on the Sunnah. They know what to do. But definitely, what happened after the death of Uthman ibn Affan is a serious reminder that don't allow illiteracy in the young to penetrate you. So why are you saying that the bottom of the pyramid is where genuine grassroots work begins? Not in Islam, because we have the consequences, we have the teaching that it was those 1,000 from far away center of Islamic knowledge, training and discipline, came to invade Medina and they killed Uthman ibn Affan. They were all young, illiterate. So it is not the case. We have to understand Islam carefully and apply it in order to enter paradise and live in comfort. Remove Boko Haram. All these Boko Harams, who are they? Who are they in Nigeria? We don't even know their sociological background. But they are all young. Definitely. Fulanis, left in the lurch, in the darkness, in wilderness. So what do we expect? The Fulani who was taught Islam, who Islam was built on his own profession, livestock and the farming, he now turned to be against Islam. For what reason was he taught? These include local masjid. Who listens? Even in the local masjids, they are the young graduates from Saudi Arabia, where the Sunnah was never established, and the Medina, in other Arab countries. Al-Azhar University. One day I was in Al-Azhar University. I went to buy second-hand books because the book I was interested, they say it's not available, but I may likely get it in second-hand market around Al-Azhar Mosque. I went there for Asr prayer. Do you know what happened? Believe me, there were not more than 50 of us for Asr prayer. Not 50 of us, Arabs. So what is there in the masjid? Which masjid observes the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Not in Mecca and Medina. There's not a single mosque where the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is observed, including my country, Nigeria, except the mosque of one particular late Sheikh Abu Bakr Muhammad Gumi. He tries his best to observe the obligatory according to the Sunnah, because I attended his prayers from all the obligatory prayers. He hardly makes a mistake. May Allah forgive him. 1 or 2 mistakes. So look at this. Mosques turn into a place of what? Innovation. Choice of words and mannerism. Choice of words. You don't know even the meaning of the word zawal. You can't distinguish between zawal and kabad and zawal shams. Directly shams. What is the choice of words? So my brothers, what I was telling you is this a very, very interesting article, and Sheikh Ali Mahmouda is a UK national of Palestine origin. Okay, he's a professional. He gained bachelor's and master's degrees in architecture and a planner from the University of the West of England before achieving a BA in Sharia from Al-Azhar University in Egypt. Currently based in Wales, and is a visiting imam at Al-Manar Center in Cardiff, and also a senior researcher and lecturer for the Muslim Research and Development Foundation in London. Well, let us establish the Sunnah according to the obligatory prayers according to the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I don't have, I have only a certificate in Arabic language, but I don't think I am ashamed to tell the truth that we are not actually following the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, brothers. And you in West, please, stop talking about the caliphate. You can't establish it. You can't do anything. If you want to establish, go back to your country. Let me go back to Palestine. Let Egyptians go back to Egypt. Saudis, let them go back to Saudi, and then establish the caliphate. Then from there, then they can migrate to teach others Islam. But to stay there, and I don't think it's a priority. I don't think it's a question that you must justify yourself before Allah forgives us. Assalamu alaikum.